Unlike most boys of the age of 3 to 7 across multiple generations, I never really liked Thomas the Tank Engine. 1, because I think I'm a bit of a contrarian pig dog, but 2, my curse of overthinking. Thomas and his mechanical friends terrify me. Not them themselves, but their existential predicament. These poor souls, gifted sentient thought, personalities and will, are trapped, limbless and confined onto a rail network, forced to work hard for their human paymasters. An allegory there for late-stage capitalism, perhaps. Be a good little engine, work hard, make your bosses richer. And all this written by a vicar of all things. The Reverend Wilbert Aubrey first started writing the Railway series in 1945, which would later be taken on by his son Christopher. The titular Thomas was the subject of the second book, and it soon became clear that he would be the star of all of the books. The core engine friendship group of Percy, Toby, Edward and James have been expanded upon over the years, as the fictional island of Sodor has filled up with all sorts of befaced sentient vehicles serving its population. That's the story of Thomas the Tank Engine. In 1979, TV producer, writer and voice actress Britt Allcroft discovered the books and arranged a deal with the Aubreys for ITV to show a 26-episode run that eventually was shown in 1984. Ringo Starr, who is in some band or the other at some point previously, something about insects maybe? I don't know. Possibly? Well, he provided the narration for this early iteration of the show, which was shown in the US as Shining Time Station, with Starr replaced a bit into the show's run by the legendary comic George Carlin. Later Thomas series have changed animation style, format and narrators since then, and it's gone all CG now, it's all a bit creepy, and I won't be talking about that because that's after the games came out, and if you've got children you're probably sick of Thomas the Tank Engine. But before we get on to the game, special shout out to the 2000 movie starring Alec Baldwin as the controller, mainly because I could do a joke about his recent appearance on the news, but now I don't have to. But if I did, the joke would be quite gunny. I mean funny. Too soon? There are 2 Thomas the Tank Engine games on the ZX Spectrum, but there were nearly 3. Alternative Software were the distributor of the Thomas the Tank Engine games. They sure loved a license, didn't they? And creator of Thomas the Tank Engine The Race, Dean Higginbottom, said that there was a game adaptation for the Spectrum, Amstrad, Atari 8-bit and Commodore 64 due, but a falling out between Alternative and programmers Clockwise saw the 2-player game cancelled mid-production. Thomas the Tank Engine The Race would have been the 1992 sequel to this, 1991's Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends. Created by the Orb and Enigma variations, who also did the Spectrum version of Defenders of the Earth and the colourful Turrican, Thomas was a pocket money price release for the Atari ST, the Amiga, the Amstrad, the Commodore 64, MS-DOS and of course what we're looking at now with our eyes, the ZX Spectrum. You are placed in the steel wheels of the grey fizzled choo-choo, and it's up to you to make your way from left to right. Charged by his obese slave owner to do a variety of tasks that mainly involve going across the screen, getting a carriage and then carrying on. You manoeuvre across the playfield using the tracks, with some inevitably taking you down some dead ends, which you'll have to track back on. Also on the rails are these reckless other trains that zoop about with gay abandon, although, to be fair, the signal operator should be at fault here, and he must be lying drunk surrounded by vodka bottles, the amount of stray trains there are wandering about, doing all sorts of things. The potential for a Potter's Bar disaster is huge and regularly happens in this game. It's gross negligence, I tell you. The 2 difficulty levels are easy and normal, and well, easy is pretty accurate and normal is not. Normal is a nightmare. You will coast the 6 stages on easy with the speed of a Japanese bullet train. You will have finished the entire game in less than 10 minutes, and well, I don't think that's not even worth the £3 that you've spent on it in W.H. Smith's, is it? I'm playing it on an emulator and I feel shortchanged here. The other trains are a bit of a bother still, but they won't represent too much of a challenge. You just have to look out for them and the odd break in a bridge. Normal mode is a passport to a derailment disaster zone, however. Not only do speeding trains appear out of nowhere and seem to chase you down at times, but a host of other obstacles, such as rocks, are carelessly left on the track with no way of getting around them at times. Some rapscallion from the local council estate must have thrown them on the track. Also, if you go too fast round a corner, you'll career off of it and you'll be put back 2 screens. And you can't be too late either, because we've seen from Octavius's review on this game what happens to trains when they misbehave on Sodor. They get bloody bricked up in a tunnel. Yeek. So is it any good? Well, you couldn't really put a train in a platformer, could you? So, given the limitations of the lead character, I struggle to think what else they could do with an action game. So it's a commendable effort, I suppose. But the game is not all that good, in all honesty. There's just not a lot to do in it. It looks dull. Normal mode is impossible. Easy mode is way too easy. And the only thing it's got really going for it is this kind of shrill, jaunty representation of the classic theme, which plays along with Thomas the Tank Engine zipping about like a ping pong ball fired out of a Japanese prostitute with the velocity of a cannon. Rich said this of Thomas the Tank Engine in issue 68 of Your Sinclair. Possibly one of the only budget games which is equally entertaining regardless of whether you load it up or not. That's a pithy review, isn't it? He gave it a 32 degrees. That's about right, to be honest. Thomas the Tank Engine Fun with Words was released on the Friendly Learning label, a subsidiary of Alternative. It was also programmed by Enigma Variations, just as was the first game. The Friendly Learning label, you might remember, also had games that I've already covered based on Playdays and Sooty. You can probably find a link to one of them up there somewhere in the ether above my words. So yes, Thomas the Tank Engine's Fun with Words, they're trying to make us learn again the beasts. Your little un, or you if you drink in a flat roof pub, will no doubt be helped by Fun with Words if you struggle with spelling 3-letter words. There are 6 games here. Spell Picture, where an image is displayed in the Spectrum's, I guess it's close enough, limited graphics, and you have to spell what that represents. The next game on the list is What's Wrong? And rather than being the 48K asking about your mental health, there's a misspelling in a word and you must pick out which letter it is and damn well replace it with the correct letter. Mix and Match has 5 words all mixed up. By using the picture as a guide, you have to select the correct letter for each of those words. Mix and match well, or that tunnel will await you. That foreboding tunnel. Letter Fun. Fun is a bit of a misnomer unless you like moving sentient trains to a shed with appropriate vowels on them. Do you? Is that a thing you like doing? Look, this is the game for you, you little vowel-shedded twat. Lively Letters sees Thomas present a letter for you to fill a big old gap in a word, and you'll be judged by the fat controller. Is he correct with his letter? No, usually not. I would say Thomas is a bit thick, but do trains go to school as child trains? The final game is Letter Shapes, where you must place a letter on top of its similarly shaped brother, like you're breeding alphabets for a big old character farm. Give me some of that Q milk and a slice of tea from its flank. As with all these Spectrum Edutainment games, it feels more like an application than a game, so it's difficult to recommend playing it unless you're 4 or a blithering simpleton who tastes bus windows as a hobby. No reviews of this title exist in any of the magazines at the time, so this has broken the usual format for me. Thanks a lot, Thomas, you blue station hanging tunnel penetrating dildo. I no longer wish to think of you or your existentialist misery. I'm going to have a good day without you. Next up, as I've been putting off for a while, I'm going to have even less fun as I sample the delights of Miami Vice. Wish me luck, it's gonna be dreadful.